So now I want to talk a little bit about comments. Now, comments are important to any programming language. Any programming language you have is going to give you a way to really learn how to make comments or to add context to your program. Now, when you think about a program and you're writing a program, sometimes programs can be very long. You can have programs with thousands of lines of code, or millions of lines of code. Even you have a lot of code in a program, and comments give you a way to really add some context to your code, to maybe give a cue to yourself, or maybe a cue to somebody you've been working with, who's working on the project with you, what you're actually doing and what you actually mean by the code that you're writing. So comments are a good thing to have in your code. And when it comes to HTML, Comments adds a couple things. Just in general, comments will add a couple things. They do not affect the code in any way. So if you are using comments in any programming language, as well as if you're using it in the markup language for HTML, they do not affect your code in any way. The browser ignores what's in the comment. Also, comments actually give some style and some context, if you will, to your code. They give explanation and context to code. So it can let you know if sometimes you may have code that you've been working on, you walk away from it a while, you haven't seen it in a while, and you come back and you want to remember and know what you were doing. Or somebody else who you're working with, that partner you're working with, may come back and look at your code, and they want to figure out what you're doing. So comments will add context and explanation to your code. Also, comments, because they're not executed by the browser, or by the program in general, because they're not executed, you can actually use comments to comment out certain code. So you can put comments around code that you've written, let's say, because you want to save it and use another type of code so that you can see how it runs and to see which one you want to use, one or the other, which if you want to use a different type of code. You can actually comment out and put comments around your code, and the browser will simply ignore it, and it'll just be in your file, and you can keep it there if you want, or you can get rid of it, whatever you like to do, but sometimes it's a useful kind of tool to have. Also, just to let you know, comments cannot be seen by the end user. So nobody can see your comments on the screen in the final product of whatever it is you're using. They can't see it on the screen, but you can see it if you get access to the code underneath the hood, so to speak. And your comments finally should be clear and logical. That way you can understand what it is you meant. Anybody else who might be looking at the code as well can understand what you mean by what you've written. So anyhow, we're going to take a look at that in this next exercise and actually add some comments to our code and figure out how we're going to go ahead and add some comments.